welcome, dear friend, and a quiet thank you for choosing to spend this time with us, nestled here in the gentle unfolding of our story. It is our sincerest hope that the words you're about to hear and the soft spaces between them will act as a tender balm for the mind, a gentle current to carry you without effort towards the peaceful shores of restful slumber, allowing the day's accumulated cares and hurried thoughts to drift away as effortlessly as thistledown upon a slow, warm stream. Before you settle in fully, allowing your eyes to close and the sounds of your device to soften into the quiet hush of your room, might we gently suggest, if these tales bring you a measure of comfort and welcome ease, that a simple tap to like this story, or perhaps to subscribe to our little haven of tranquility, would be a most welcome kindness indeed. It helps others who may also be seeking just such a moment of profound peace to find their quiet way here too. And now, with a soft breath out, let us begin. Chapter 1, The Threshold of Quietude. It was said in certain old soft-spoken tales that the way to the Aerie of Somnolent Breezes was not found on any map made by hurried hands, but rather by following a feeling, a gentle pull towards a quietude that the heart remembered, even if the mind had long forgotten. Corin, who had always felt such gentle pulls more keenly than the clamor of the everyday, carried a small linen-bound book, its pages filled not with words, but with impressions of peaceful places, and one particular sketch of a winding path disappearing into a soft, inviting mist seemed to whisper of just such a destination. And so, one day, when the world outside felt a little too loud, a little too bright, Corin set out, not with a destination firmly in mind, but with an openness to where the gentle paths might lead, the air already seeming to soften with each step away from the familiar. The path, when it finally revealed itself at the edge of a quiet, unassuming meadow, was no grand affair, but a mere parting in the tall, oat-colored grasses, as if something soft and kind had passed that way but moments before. As Corin followed its gentle incline, the sounds of the bustling world below began to recede, not abruptly, but as if a soft woolen blanket were being slowly drawn over them, muffling each sharp edge, each insistent call. In their place, new sounds began to emerge, shyly at first. The faintest rustle, perhaps of dry leaves still clinging to unseen branches, like the softest silk being drawn across silk, a sound so delicate it was almost a feeling. The air itself grew cooler, yet held a comforting stillness, and carried the clean, invigorating scent of damp earth and distant pine needles, a fragrance that spoke of ancient, untouched places and invited a deeper, slower breath. Higher still, the path climbed, though its ascent was so gradual, so meandering, it felt less like a climb and more like a gentle uplift, as if the very ground beneath Corin's feet wished to elevate them to a place of greater peace. The light began to change, the clear brightness of the lower lands softening into a diffused, pearlescent glow, as if the sun were perpetually caught in that tender moment just before rising or just after setting, bathing everything in a gentle, forgiving illumination. And then the path opened onto a broad, serene plateau, a hidden shelf nestled amongst softly rounded peaks that slumbered under a sky of pale lavender and rose. Here, the silence was not empty, but full of an ancient peace, a quietude that felt alive and welcoming. Nestled a little way across the plateau, as if it had grown from the very earth itself, stood a small cottage, its walls built of stones and warm hues of honey and soft ochre, their surfaces worn smooth by time and the caress of gentle winds. A thin plume of the palest silver smoke, so faint it was almost invisible, curled lazily from its chimney, a silent, gentle invitation. The cottage seemed to radiate a subtle warmth, a stored comfort from a sun that, in this Aerie, always seemed to be offering its kindest, softest light. Moss, like plush, deep green velvet, grew in soft cushions at the base of its walls, and tiny star-like flowers, no bigger than a dewdrop, peeked from crevices in the stone, their colors muted and gentle. Corin felt an immediate, profound sense of having arrived not merely at a place, but at a feeling of coming home to a long-dreamt-of peace, a sanctuary for a weary spirit. With a heart that felt suddenly lighter, as if a small, unnoticed burden had simply floated away on the gentle air, Corin approached the cottage. The door, made of weathered silver-gray wood that felt wonderfully smooth and cool to the touch, was unlatched. It opened with the softest of creaks, a sound like a contented sigh, revealing an interior bathed in the same gentle, diffused light that graced the plateau outside. The air within was still and deeply comforting, holding the faintest, most delicate, lingering scent of dried herbs. Perhaps it was lavender or chamomile or some sweet, unknown mountain blossom, mingled with the comforting, almost ghostly aroma of warm bread, as if baked long ago, yet its essence still tenderly held within the very timbers of the cottage. It was a soft, ethereal welcome, a scent that settled upon the senses like finest, warmest down. Corin stepped over the smooth, worn threshold, the wooden floorboards solid and reassuring beneath their feet. The little cottage was simple, yet held an undeniable charm. A small hearth, its stones cool now but bearing the marks of many gentle fires, sat against one wall, a comfortable-looking armchair upholstered in a faded soft blue fabric drawn up beside it. A small round table of polished dark wood held a single unadorned pottery jug and a few well-loved books with soft creased spines rested on a low shelf. It was a space that spoke of quiet contemplation, of simple comforts, and of a deep, abiding peace that had settled into every nook and cranny. As Corin gently closed the door, the sound, a soft, satisfying click that seemed to seal out the last vestiges of the world left behind, a profound sense of rightness settled over them. It was not just the quiet or the gentle light or the comforting sense, but something more, a feeling of being enfolded, of being held in a safe and tender embrace by the very atmosphere of the place. For the first time in a very long while, Corin felt their shoulders, which had been unconsciously hunched, begin to relax and soften, a gentle weightlessness spreading through their limbs. Here, in this threshold of quietude, with the subtle scent of ancient peace in the air and the promise of restful stillness all around, Corin took a slow, deep breath, feeling it filled them not just with air, but with a profound sense of calm. The Aerie had offered its first gentle welcome, and Corin, with a heart full of quiet gratitude, accepted it wholly, feeling the first soft tendrils of a deep, restorative peace begin to unfurl within. All was quiet here, all was gentle, all was well. Chapter 2. Whispers on a Windflower Path. After a night of the most profound and restful sleep Corin had experienced in many a long year, a sleep as deep and untroubled as a mountain lake on a windless day, they awoke to the Aerie's perpetual soft twilight, feeling a gentle newness, a lightness of being. The little cottage was filled with the same serene quiet as before, the only sound, the faint, almost inaudible sigh of the somnolent breezes around the eaves, like the gentle breathing of the house itself. Corin rose slowly, feeling no hurry, no call to action other than the gentle invitation of the Aerie itself to simply be and to observe its quiet wonders. The air still held that comforting scent of old herbs and spectral bread, a constant, gentle reassurance. Stepping outside the cottage, Corin was greeted by the sight of the Windflowers, which seemed to glow with a soft internal luminescence in the gentle light. These were truly remarkable blossoms. Their petals, which Corin now saw were the most delicate shades of pale lilac, creamy white, and the faintest blush of rose, were shaped like the wings of resting moths. And they did indeed flutter and sway with a slow, hypnotic grace. Even though the air itself felt perfectly still, it was as if each flower held its own tiny, gentle breath, its own quiet life. And as they moved, they released a delicate, sweet fragrance, a blend of honey and something uniquely floral and soothing, a scent that seemed to clear the mind and invite quiet contemplation. Their soft, continuous rustling was a sound like the turning of very fine, ancient paper, a constant, peaceful murmur that wove itself into the fabric of the Aerie's silence. Following a little path that wound away from the cottage, its surface made of smooth gray flagstones that felt pleasantly cool and solid underfoot, Corin noticed the intricate patterns of moss growing between the stones, like miniature emerald green tapestries. The path led towards a garden, or rather what seemed less a cultivated garden and more a place where the Aerie's natural beauty was gently tended and encouraged. Here, amidst ferns with fronds as soft as brushed cotton, and plants with leaves of silver and deep, restful green, Corin saw a figure, moving with a slow, unhurried grace. This, Corin sensed, must be Finn, the tender of this peaceful place. Finn, whose garments were the soft, muted colors of lichen and dried leaves, looked up as Corin approached, and a smile as gentle as the Aerie's twilight touched their lips. Finn's eyes, the color of warm hazelnuts, held a deep, serene kindness. Finn's voice, when they spoke a soft greeting, was indeed as quiet as the rustle of autumn leaves skittering over moss, a sound that blended perfectly with the Aerie's gentle symphony. There was no artifice in Finn's manner, only a simple, warm welcome. Soon they were seated together on a weathered bench of silvered wood, its surface worn smooth by time and touch, sharing a warm cup of cloudberry tisane that Fen had prepared. The tisane, a lovely pale gold color, was served in simple, handleless ceramic cups that felt wonderfully warm and smooth in Corin's hands. Its steam rose in gentle spirals, carrying a subtle, comforting aroma of mild, sweet fruit. The cloudberries, Fen explained softly, mingled with the pure, clean essence of mountain quiet, a scent that spoke of high, sun-drenched meadows and cool, clear springs. As they sipped the warm, soothing tisane, Fen spoke in slow, gentle tones, not in long discourses, but in short, thoughtful phrases about the Aerie's peaceful rhythms. Fen spoke of the somnolent breezes, explaining that they were not just wind, but ancient currents of peace that carried tiny, unheard tales and forgotten lullabies from the sleepy blossoms that grew in hidden corners of the Aerie. Corin listened, feeling the warmth of the smooth ceramic mug seep into their hands, the gentle words and the comforting drink creating a profound sense of ease. The simple act of sharing this quiet moment, this warm drink, felt like a precious gift, a moment of pure, uncomplicated contentment. Later that day, Corin found a secluded spot a little way from the cottage, a patch of soft, springy moss beneath an ancient silver-barked tree whose leaves, like soft, pale green hands, rustled faintly overhead. Here Corin spent uncounted moments, perhaps hours, for time in the Aerie seemed to flow like a slow, gentle river, unmeasured and unhurried, simply sitting, feeling the almost imperceptible loving touch of the somnolent breezes on their skin. It was a sensation akin to being brushed by the softest, warmest down, a touch so gentle it was barely there, yet it carried with it a profound sense of comfort and release. Corin noticed their breathing becoming slower, deeper, more effortless, their shoulders softening further, a gentle warmth spreading through their chest. The Windflowers continued their ceaseless, gentle dance nearby, their pale petals catching the soft light, their delicate, honeyed fragrance drifting on the air, mingling with the scent of damp earth and the faint, resinous aroma of the ancient tree. Corin watched a single perfectly formed leaf, the color of old parchment, detach itself from a high branch and drift slowly, slowly downwards, spiraling in the still air before coming to rest on the mossy ground with the silence of a falling feather. There was such beauty, such profound peace in these simple, unnoticed moments. In the quiet companionship of the Windflowers, the ancient tree, and the softly murmuring somnolent breezes, Corin felt a deep sense of belonging, a feeling of being an intrinsic part of this gentle, tranquil world. The whispers on the Windflower path were not of grand adventures or dramatic events, but of the profound beauty of stillness, the quiet joy of simple being, and the comforting embrace of a peace that asked nothing, yet gave everything. All was quiet, all was gentle, and a deep sense of gratitude as soft and warm as the Aerie's light filled Corin's heart. Chapter 3. The lullabying light of the glow moss caverns. Several days, or perhaps it was a timeless flow of gentle moments, passed in this manner, each one unfolding with the soft grace of a windflower petal unfurling in the perpetual twilight. Corin found a quiet rhythm, waking with the Aerie's gentle hush, spending hours in simple, peaceful observation, feeling the subtle yet profound shifts in the serene atmosphere as the somnolent breezes ebbed and flowed like a slow, vast tide of calm. One morning, as the air held a particular stillness, and the scent of damp earth after a night's gentle mist was especially prevalent, Finn approached Corin with that familiar kind smile, as gentle and reassuring as the first rays of a very soft dawn. Finn suggested, in their usual quiet murmur, that Corin might appreciate seeing the glow moss caverns, a place of special tranquility within the Aerie. Intrigued and trusting Finn's gentle guidance, Corin followed along a narrow, winding track that led away from the more open areas of the plateau. The path was bordered by tall, elegant ferns, their fronds a deep, restful green, so soft to the touch they felt like brushed cotton against Corin's fingertips. The air here was cooler, and the scents of the Aerie changed subtly, the sweetness of the windflowers giving way to a more earthy, ancient fragrance of damp soil, decaying leaves, and cool stone. The path descended slightly, leading towards the base of a low, moss-covered cliff face, its stone a patchwork of grays and greens, looking as if it had slumbered there for untold ages. Tucked into the cliff, almost hidden by a curtain of trailing ivy with heart-shaped leaves, was a low opening, barely tall enough to enter without a gentle bow of the head. Finn paused at the entrance, their expression one of quiet reverence, and then, with a soft gesture, invited Corin to enter. Stepping from the diffused twilight of the Aerie into the deeper shade of the cavern entrance, Corin's eyes took a moment to adjust, and then the wonder of the place revealed itself. The cavern was not dark, but filled with a soft, ethereal light, a gentle, pearlescent luminescence that seemed to breathe from the very walls themselves. "This was the glow moss," Finn whispered, their voice barely disturbing the profound stillness within. It clung in thick, velvety patches to the cool, damp stone walls, its color a beautiful tapestry of warm, golden white, creamy yellows, and the faintest hints of pale green, like moonlight captured in moss. The light it emitted was not steady, but pulsed with a slow, deeply calming rhythm, like a gentle, sleeping heartbeat, or the slow, deep breath of the earth itself. The air within the shallow, interconnected caverns was remarkably still and carried a unique, clean, and deeply refreshing scent, the fragrance of ancient, undisturbed stone, cool dampness, and the faintest, sweetest hint of unseen minerals, almost like the taste of pure spring water on the tongue. It was a scent that spoke of deep, undisturbed slumber, of eons of quiet peace. Corin moved slowly, reverently, deeper into the softly glowing chambers, each step on smooth, slightly damp stone floor making almost no sound. The caverns were not vast or imposing, but rather a series of gentle, rounded enclosures, creating a feeling of being safely and comfortably cocooned. Corin watched, utterly mesmerized, as the warm, golden white light from the moss cast dancing, gentle shadows on the curved walls and ceiling. These were not the sharp, startling shadows of a harsh light, but soft, fluid shapes that seemed to soothe and comfort rather than startle, patterns that ebbed and flowed with the moss's gentle pulse. It was like watching a silent, luminous lullaby unfold, and here, in the profound quiet, another subtle sensation became apparent, a low, resonant hum, a vibration more felt deep within the bones and chest than actually heard with the ears. Finn explained, their voice a mere breath, that this was the song of the deep earth, a sound of profound peace that the glow moss seemed to amplify and share. Corin leaned against a cool moss-covered wall, feeling that gentle hum resonate through them, loosening any lingering, unnoticed tightness in their shoulders and back, a deeply settling sensation. Hours might have passed, or perhaps only moments, as Corin sat in the gentle, pulsing light, feeling a profound sense of safety and peaceful enclosure. The world outside, with its demands and its noise, felt impossibly distant, a half-forgotten dream. Here, there was only the soft, living light, the clean, ancient scent of the earth, the gentle, resonant hum, and an overwhelming feeling of being held, protected, and deeply, deeply rested. Corin felt their breath deepen and slow, becoming almost as rhythmic as the pulsing of the glow moss. Thoughts, if they came at all, were like soft, drifting clouds, insubstantial, fleeting, leaving no trace behind. Finn sat quietly nearby, their presence a comforting reassurance, their eyes reflecting the soft, warm light of the moss. No words were needed. The shared experience of this profound tranquility was a communication deeper than any speech. The glow moss caverns were indeed a place of special peace, a sanctuary within a sanctuary, where the very earth seemed to breathe a lullaby, and where the light itself was an embrace. As Corin eventually followed Finn back out into the gentle twilight of the Aerie, they carried within them the memory of that warm, pulsing light, the clean scent, and the deep, resonant hum, a core of profound calm that felt as if it had settled permanently in their heart. Chapter 4. The Stillness of the Star-Silvered Pools. The days in the Aerie continued their gentle, unhurried procession, each one a soft bead strung on a silken thread of quietude. Corin found an increasing delight in simply wandering, with no particular destination in mind, allowing the subtle inclinations of the peaceful landscape to guide their steps. The somnolent breezes, always a soft presence, seemed to carry different nuances of scent depending on which way they sighed. Sometimes the honeyed perfume of the windflowers was strongest. At other times, a hint of pine from unseen higher slopes, or the clean, invigorating aroma of rain-kissed earth, even when no rain had visibly fallen. It was during one such gentle meandering, when the Aerie's perpetual twilight seemed to hold a particularly soft, silvery sheen, that Corin came upon a new wonder, the star-silvered pools. Tucked away in a shallow dip in the land, sheltered by a graceful cluster of slender silver-barked trees whose leaves were the palest green like newly unfurled ferns, lay a series of small natural pools. They were not deep, perhaps only to Corin's knee at their most profound, but their water possessed an extraordinary clarity, so pure and still that it seemed to capture and hold the soft, diffused light of the Aerie's sky, making the surface shimmer as if 1,000 distant stars were reflected within its depths. The effect was breathtakingly beautiful, a quiet magic that made Corin pause, a soft sigh of wonder escaping their lips. The air around the pools was cool and fresh, carrying the faintest scent of water mint and damp stones. The edges of the pools were lined with smooth, dark pebbles, each one perfectly rounded by the gentle caress of water over untold time, their colors ranging from deep slate gray to soft, mossy green when wet. Corin knelt by the edge of the largest pool, drawn by its serene beauty, and peered into its crystalline depths. The bottom was clearly visible, a mosaic of these same smooth pebbles, with occasional fronds of a delicate feathery waterweed swaying almost imperceptibly in some unseen slow current. There was a profound stillness here, a silence broken only by the faintest whisper of the somnolent breezes through the leaves of the silver-barked trees overhead, a sound like the gentlest exhalation. Slowly, almost reverently, Corin reached out and dipped a hand into the cool, surprisingly silken water. The sensation was delightful. The water felt incredibly soft against the skin, almost like liquid velvet, and as Corin's hand moved through it, there was a distinct feeling of weightlessness that seemed to travel up their arm, a gentle release of any lingering, unnoticed tension from their wrist, elbow, and even shoulder. It was as if the water itself possessed a unique quality that encouraged letting go. When Corin drew their hand out, tiny silvery droplets clung to their skin for a moment before merging, and where the water had touched, a faint pearlescent shimmer remained, like stardust, which faded slowly and gently, like a happy, whispered memory. Corin found a comfortable seat on a large, flat stone at the water's edge, its surface warmed by the Aerie's gentle ambient light and covered in a thin cushion of soft, dry moss. Here, unmeasured hours were spent simply watching, observing the way the perpetual soft light played upon the water's undisturbed surface. The gentlest, almost invisible ripples, stirred by the faintest sigh of the somnolent breezes, would occasionally move across the pools, creating ever-changing, fluid patterns of light and shadow that were infinitely calming to behold. Sometimes a single leaf, perfectly formed and the color of old gold, would detach itself from an overhanging branch and drift slowly down to rest upon the water, floating for a moment like a tiny, peaceful boat before becoming gently waterlogged and sinking slowly to the pebbled floor. In this place of profound stillness and subtle light, Corin felt their thoughts become like fluffy white clouds drifting slowly and aimlessly across a vast, pale blue, peaceful sky. There was no need to grasp them, no need to analyze them. They simply came and went, as gentle and insubstantial as the patterns on the water. A deep sense of peaceful acceptance settled over Corin, a feeling of being utterly present in the moment, with no thought for yesterday or tomorrow. The cool, clean air, the gentle lapping sound when a breeze did stir the water, the soft, silvery light, all contributed to a profound state of restful awareness. Corin noticed that their breathing had become exceptionally slow and even, each inhalation bringing a sense of cool clarity, each exhalation a deeper letting go. The muscles in their neck and shoulders felt wonderfully loose and easy, and a gentle warmth spread through their limbs, not from external heat, but from an inner sense of profound relaxation. The star-silvered pools were a place of quiet alchemy, where the simple elements of water, light, and stillness combined to create a potent balm for the spirit, washing away the unseen dust of weariness and leaving behind only a serene, shining peace. It was another of the Aerie's gentle gifts, freely offered, deeply received. Chapter 5. Carrying the Aerie's Heart. The gentle rhythm of days, or rather the continuous seamless flow of peaceful moments in the Aerie, had woven itself deeply into Corin's being. It was not a conscious decision to depart, for the Aerie was not a place one truly left behind, but rather a subtle shift, a quiet knowing that the profound peace experienced here was now an intrinsic part of them, a gentle wellspring to be carried forth. There was no sadness in this gentle transition, only a deep and abiding sense of gratitude, like the warm, enduring glow of embers after a comforting fire has softly died down. The Aerie had offered its sanctuary, and Corin had received its gifts with an open heart, feeling a sense of restoration so complete it was like being newborn into a gentler world. The subtle magic of the place, the gentle rhythmic hum of the glow moss in the cool, quiet caverns, its memory now a soft thrumming deep within Corin's chest, the delicate honeyed scent of the ever-fluttering windflowers, a fragrance that seemed to linger faintly on Corin's clothes and skin, the feather-light loving touch of the somnolent breeze upon the cheek, a sensation now easily recalled, bringing an instant wave of calm. These gentle sensory memories were now woven into the very fabric of Corin's awareness. They were a comforting tapestry of peace, a readily accessible inner haven. Corin knew that the profound stillness found here was not confined to this physical place, but was a quality of being that could be cultivated and carried like a precious, silent song. On the morning of this gentle turning, Finn met Corin by the door of the little cottage, their serene eyes holding the Aerie's quiet wisdom and a warmth that needed no words. Finn held out a small, perfectly smooth stone, one gathered from the luminous caverns. It was a beautiful stone, a pale milky gray swirled with veins of soft cream, and it felt wonderfully warm to Corin's touch, its surface like polished silk, as if it held the very essence of the glow moss's gentle light within it. Finn simply pressed it into Corin's palm, a quiet, tangible reminder of the Aerie's enduring, gentle calm, a small piece of its heart to carry forth. Corin closed their fingers around it, feeling its comforting weight and warmth, a promise of peace. They shared one last cup of cloudberry tisane, sitting on the familiar weathered bench, the silence between them rich and full, more eloquent than any words of farewell. The windflowers nearby continued their soft, ceaseless dance, their pale petals like tiny waving hands. The somnolent breezes sighed gently through the silver-barked trees, carrying their ancient, peaceful lullabies. There was a sense of completeness, of a circle gently closed, yet also of a new beginning, a carrying of this profound peace into the world beyond the Aerie's gentle embrace. Corin felt an immense gratitude for Finn's quiet companionship, for their gentle guidance, which had always been offered with such unobtrusive kindness. When the moment felt right, with no hurry or fanfare, Corin stood, the warm stone still held gently in their hand. There were no goodbyes spoken, for what they had shared was timeless and would remain. A simple, soft smile passed between them, a look of deep, mutual understanding and quiet affection. Corin then turned and began to walk slowly back along the path by which they had first arrived, the path that led away from the plateau. Each step felt light and easy, imbued with a restful contentment that filled every part of them, from the soles of their feet to the crown of their head. As Corin descended, the sounds and scents of the Aerie did not abruptly cease, but rather softened, becoming a gentle memory that resonated within. The air gradually changed, the unique stillness of the Aerie giving way to the more familiar movements of the lower lands. Yet even these seemed gentler now, their edges softened. Corin knew with a deep and certain knowing that the profound peace of the Aerie was not left behind on that high plateau. It was a quiet, beautiful song that would continue to murmur softly within their heart, a gentle, readily accessible haven in memory and feeling, a constant source of comfort and ease. The world beyond the Aerie's unseen threshold, when Corin finally re-entered it, seemed subtly transformed. Or perhaps it was Corin who had been transformed, now viewing everything through the tender, forgiving lens of the Aerie's tranquility. The colors seemed a little softer, the sounds a little less harsh, the pace of things a little less urgent. Corin carried the Aerie's heart within their own, a precious gift of peace, ready to be quietly shared simply by being. And in the gentle weight of the warm stone in their pocket and the soft echo of the windflowers rustle in their mind, the Aerie would always be near, a whispered promise of profound and restorative calm.